This episode is brought to you by the PowerMonkey Training app. Now, out of all of the cool things that we do with PowerMonkey, whether that be our camps, or our retreats, or in-person events, the thing that I'm most excited about and our team is most excited about is our new PowerMonkey Training app. The new one will have a complete redesign and a lot of cool new features that you haven't been able to access yet. There's really 4 categories of training skills depending on who you are as an athlete. The first one is probably the one that you're most familiar with, are skill plans. How do you learn a strict pull-up, a handstand, a muscle-up? They're all assessment-based. We put you into the correct level according to what your starting point is, and you build plans from there. The couple new ones that we're really excited about, one is our volume plan. So volume plans will be based for those athletes that are learning capacity around skill-specific training. So if you're an athlete out there looking to take that one muscle up and build it into 3, 5, 10, 20, and beyond, we have a plan to help build capacity around skill-specific training. Very, very unique, very different, something that we're new offering, really excited about. Additionally, we have our GPP plan for gymnastics. We call it our monkey method plan. This is a well-rounded gymnastics plan that you can be accessing on a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level. Beginner and intermediate are 3 days a week. Our advanced is up to 6 days a week. You'll be doing handstands, mobility, core work, bar, ring. It's a well-rounded plan around becoming more capable and confident around gymnastics movements. Our last types of plans will be our 365 plans, and these are bite-sized plans that can be incorporated into any training plan, starting with our core 365, something that's been in the app for a while, but a new feature is that we're going to be putting up one workout a day for free on the app. All you need to do is download and register, and you will get a free workout every single day that is core specific, between 5 and 10 minutes long, that you can incorporate into your training. It's a great starting point, and there'll be more of these 365 plans that help create a more well-rounded training experience. Come train with us with the PowerMonkey Training app. We think you guys are going to love it. Welcome to the PowerMonkey Podcast, where we chat with the best in the world about what they do. I'm your host, Dave Durante, with my co-host this week being Jordan Samuel, and we are lucky enough to have the incredible Norwegian CrossFit Games athlete, Kristin Holte, on as a guest today. Kristin is an 8-time CrossFit Games athlete competitor, finishing second back in 2019, as well as many other top 10 finishes. She has since retired, but she has an incredible resume. We talk a little bit about her background in a variety of different sports, having grown up with gymnastics and track and field, being a national pole vaulting champion, winning the national weightlifting championship back in 2015, as well as more recently winning the national functional fitness championship for Norway in 2021. Incredible athlete, now retired from CrossFit, but now passing along a lot of what she learned along the way. She just completed her book 321 Go, which has just been released, unfortunately not in English. So we talk a little about some of the tenets that went into why she wrote this book, the challenges of writing a book, and why she wanted to pass along some of the mental training nuggets that she learned as an athlete for now her athletes as well as her followers. She is an incredible person, incredible mind. I love speaking with Kristin. We were lucky enough to have her out with us at PowerMonkey Camp a few years ago, and she hit it off with all of the participants and coaches and staff. Really, really love catching up with Kristin, and we hope you guys enjoy this one. Well, Kristin, thank you so much for being with us today. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. We have a lot of snow here in Norway today, so it's chaotic, but everything is good other than that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So you are in Norway right now, and you said a lot of snow. Can you give us some perspective? It seems like a lot of snow there is maybe a lot different than a lot of snow in the States. What does that mean?
Yeah, I believe so. We can keep everything open, even though we get a lot of snow. So it's probably been around like 50 centimeters probably now. So like, it's quite a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good amount. So I mean that's what winter should be like in Norway, right? You guys are winter people. You guys are all about the snow. So I'm sure it's not out of the ordinary for you to be able to handle that.
No, we like it. It can be too much too, but it's nice to. It brightens up the day a little bit with the snow, and it's nice that we can be outside and do some cross-country skiing and snowboarding and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my first questions about like the sports that you've done. I mean, your list of sports from when you were a kid are a lot of like summer sports, but I don't see too much of cross country skiing or any of the events that you would think Norwegian athletes are kind of lend themselves towards. Did you do any of those sports growing up? Skiing type sports?
Um, to be honest, I grew up with a dad that was an Olympian in cross country skiing. So I think just growing up with that, it was just way too much for me. And he had to train all the time. So whenever we went out for like a easy Sunday trip, we had to go really fast and move as fast as possible because he was going to get his training in. So I think I was just thinking about that as training, and I didn't like that. So I just hated cross country skiing from I was a little girl until I turned around 20, and then I was like, oh, maybe it's not that bad after all.
I wonder if that childhood of cross country skiing so many places as fast as your dad wanted to go, do you think that lended itself to your aerobic capacity, your engine that you have? I mean, from such a young age doing that, like,
yeah, I don't know. I didn't enjoy getting tired and like breathing hard. But I guess I have some good genes from my dad. But I didn't do it that much because I just hated it. So I enjoy gymnastics and track and field way better because I didn't have to get that tired and breathe that hard.
the irony of not liking breathing hard and then becoming such a dominant CrossFit athlete.
Yeah, not liking and being good at it are different things.
Yeah, I learned to love it after not being able to do it for several years, and that was the start for me. And being forced out of doing it helped me to want to do it.
So that competitiveness, did you? I mean, having a dad that went to the Olympic Games, and the cool part about that too, especially if I have my daughters around, they never saw me compete at all. They were born after, but you were around while your dad was in the throes of it when he was full on competitor. Did you learn anything from that you were able to apply to your own training from what you saw from your dad? Going off on a Sunday little hike and it turned into a competitive situation because you had to train at all times. Anything you learned from being around that at such a young age?
I mean, he quit when I was about 4, so
Okay.
I probably don't remember too much of that, but I just know that I can remember that I know he worked really hard for something that he really wanted to achieve, and that nothing comes for free. You have to work for it to earn it, and I think that's been just following me throughout the years, knowing that, okay, if I want to achieve these goals, I have to really work really, really hard. And I know it's possible because others have done it, and I know my father has done it. So, but I just have to set that goal and really do my absolute best every single day to achieve it.
You just said you have to work really, really hard, but I saw a quote from you somewhere that said that you believe that more is not necessarily better, but better is better. So how do you strike that balance between making sure that you're working really, really hard, but you're not just working hard for the sake of working hard and you're doing it the smartest way possible?
Yeah, for several years, I believe that to be the best, you just have to train more and you have to train harder every single day, like put more hours into training. And I did that the first years of my CrossFit career. And I was just injured all the time. And I performed well, but not as well as I could have done, I believe. So after a few years, I was like, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to push myself beyond the limits every single day. And I don't get better by doing that. I have to do something that is different from everybody else. I have to train smarter. So I figured out, okay, I have to put my absolute best effort into whatever I do, and quality is so much better than quantity. So if I do my absolute best in every single training session, that's good enough. I don't have to add in more training. But when that is said, it's not about just training, it's about everything else too, and figuring out how can I do my absolute best in every single area that can make me a better athlete, like nutrition, sleep, recovery, and all the small details in the training that I think a lot of people are neglecting because they just think that I'll just have to train harder. I have to push myself more.
It's funny you bring that up because we had CJ Martin on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he brought you up and he brought specifically what you mentioned up on the podcast, that when you started working with Invictus, that they had to actually pull you back a little bit and say, you can't go, as hard as you would normally go every single day and expect to be able to maintain that. And he was just like, what we had to do, instead of asking someone to actually work harder, we had to tell Kristin to back off a little bit and give her a couple of days a week where she could go full blast, because it was just too much. She wasn't able to maintain it.
No, and I've always been like that. When I go to training, I want to feel dead when I'm done. I want to go home and feel like I had nothing left.
Yep.
And I want to feel that every single day, because then I can really feel that I worked really hard today.
Yep.
But after a while, I figured out that's probably not the best way to reach my potential as an athlete.
I'm curious about this because I was the same way as an athlete when I was young, when, I could come back and recover and feel okay the next day. And as you get older, your body can't maintain that anymore. Did you reach a point in your career where physically you just weren't able to do it? Maybe mentally I can still push myself, but it just doesn't make sense because the next day I'm not as recovered as I'd like to be. But is that kind of the mentality of a young athlete who's, maybe uninitiated or not really fully grasping the long-term success that you would probably need to have as an athlete? Like, these are the things like, I wish I would have told myself when I was 10 years younger to be smarter with my training.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the physical aspect and the mental aspect, because I think it's getting really hard to mentally prepare to go all out every single day in a tough workout, especially like CrossFit workouts. Because for me, I do so much preparations before I go in and do 100% workout, as I call it. That's like everything I've got. And I think if you have that every single day, those 100% workouts will turn into 90, 95, and then you will not reach your potential because you always have that few percentages left.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I had to figure out. Okay, maybe I can do 2, maybe 3 all out workouts each week. But then the other days I need to be careful of pushing too hard. So I actually need to use my heart rate monitor and watch my heart rate and see that, okay, I know today I have to do lower intensity so I can push really hard tomorrow.
You're coaching now, right? You have some athletes that are kind of working with you. Are you able to convey that mentality to a younger athlete that maybe wants to work as hard as you did and said, no, I want to work the way that Kristin did. She's my coach. Let me prove to her. How do you convey that to a younger athlete, the importance of what you learned after being in the sport for a decade?
I try, but it's really hard. I think it's really hard for them to understand because they haven't been in that situation yet. They haven't experienced that. Okay, I can't go hard really every single day because they can just go hard every day and all the time, they think. But I try to explain to them, like, I want all of you in this workout 100%. I don't want you to want to do anything when you're done. And then we can see after. Maybe we can go a little harder tomorrow than you want to, but today is the day. You have to go all out. And I think that's the problem for a lot of athletes, that they just don't know what's 100%. Because I don't know if they're scared or it's very uncomfortable being there. So that's what I'm trying to learn, like teach them first, like, okay, when you think you're at 100%, you're probably at 90. You have so much left. And that's where the mentality comes in. Like, do you have the mindset to push beyond your the limits that you think you have for yourself?
Was there ever an event at the games or maybe in the open where you like had always been thinking that you were doing 100% and you did one of these events and you're like, oh my God, that's the hardest I've ever pushed myself. That was further than I thought I could have gone.
Oh yeah. I think several open workouts actually, especially the ones with thrusters. And I know one with thruster chest bar, or several ones with thruster and chest bars. And also remember one from games, the online version, Friendly Fran, the first time.
Again, thruster.
Thruster, chest bar pull-ups. So there's actually been, especially the open workouts, they are nasty. And because you can go really, really hard and there's like no reason to slow down or stop. And the good about the open is that you have no idea what the others are doing. So you just have to dig really, really deep and hope that it's good enough.
It reminds me of the Rogue Invitational online workout when Sam Briggs was doing that workout, and she had no idea where anybody else was, and she just kept going and going and going. So to your point, yeah, that can really play with your mind.
I'm really curious about the
cool.
open.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about the open because, you mentioned the way that the open is, not knowing what other people are doing, but I'm just going to rattle off your open finishes for a consecutive number of years here. 2019 third, 2020 third, 2021 first, 2022 second. The open has seemed to be a priority for you in terms of your training. And a lot of other athletes that we've spoken with don't put so much of an emphasis on the open. It kind of is just like a part of the process to peak a little bit later into the season. Was that an emphasis for you specifically to finish as high as you did for that number of years? Or was it just, I was fit at this time, it made sense for me to go? Or was that part of your actual strategy?
I don't think I've ever put a big emphasis on the open. I think it's more that the workout suits me kind of well. And I do my preparations right. When the workout, we get it usually we've gotten it when we wake up on Friday morning. And then I spend the entire Friday preparing for the workout. So I just don't go into the gym and just do it. I make sure that I prepare for everything and test out maybe a few rounds of the workout so I know how it's going to feel like. I visualize once or maybe twice, maybe 3 times before I do it. I make sure I have everything in line, know exactly how I'm going to do the workout. So when I go out in Friday evening, I have programmed myself into what I'm going to do in the workout. And then that just makes me sure that I'm just going to do this once. And I'm going to do my absolute best at this one shot. So I don't have to think about it the rest of the weekend and do it again on Monday. But I've been training full training throughout the open all years. So it's not like I've been preparing for it. It's just a combination of preparations that day and also that those workouts usually suits me pretty well.
You did one of the open announcements, right? In
2018.
It wasn't the middle of the night that you guys had to do it too.
It's always in the middle of the night for me.
Fair enough, but yeah, the announcement though, you definitely can't wait and do it later in the day. So how did you prepare for that? Because it was at 3 a.m. or something, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it was in I've done twice the open workout twice. So I did it in Paris, and that was I think 2 a.m. for me. And then I did it in Brazil. That was also same time.
We were there in Brazil. I was standing right behind you in Brazil at the
yeah.
That one. I remember watching. Was it you and Sam at that one?
Yes, both of them were me and Sam. And she crushed me both times. But it was a good experience.
She was getting payback for 2014.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just you have to prepare as normal and just knowing that, okay, it's going to feel different. I'm not going to feel 100% prepared because you get the workout and then you have to jump in and do it right away. But that's kind of nice because you don't really have time to think about the workout or be afraid of how bad it's going to hurt. It's just you go in and you do it, and a few Red Bulls helps with and some adrenaline in the middle of the night. So it was a fun experience, and I'm just glad that I did them, even though it's scary jumping into something like that.
Did you ever, you mentioned one and done, like do it on a Friday and that's it. When you're the first people to do it in the announcement situation, did you ever redo those workouts come Monday and say, hey, I can add a couple of points here and there, or are those one and done as well?
No, I did both of them again, just because I knew that I had more in me. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't able to do the preparations that I knew I wanted to do. So I knew I didn't have to, but it was just fun to actually do it again, because I hate doing the same workout twice. It's not my favorite.
I want to ask, so you retired officially a year ago next week, right? Wodapalooza 2021 was your 2022 was your last team competition. You went out with a bang. You won with your team, which was amazing. We can talk about that in a minute, but after Wodapalooza, you did the Open and you finished second in the Open. After you had announced retirement, you finished second in the Open, clearly on a trajectory to do well at the games. Did you have any inkling or any, like, maybe I should try one more time this year? Or was it the Open, I'm just doing it for fun, and it turned out that, again, they were in your wheelhouse?
I don't finish second overall, but I did one workout really well, like 8th place or something, I think. But it was just, I wasn't gonna do it. And then I was thinking to myself, why am I not doing it? And it was just because my own ego is like, I know I'm not going to prepare as well as previous years. And can I accept that, not being at my 100%? And I was like, that's bullshit. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go in. I'm going to get the workout. I'm going to do it as like an open announcement. I'm going to be at the gym, watch the announcement, warm up, and just do it. Mm-hmm. And that was mostly just to see what kind of scores I will get, not doing all the same preparations, and also have some feedback for my athletes and the CrossFit community.
Amazing. And the team competition, especially Wodapalooza, has turned into, it seems like, more of a team competition for a lot of athletes, like getting away from wherever winter they are and going to Miami and having fun. And, winning is important, but Wodapalooza has turned into, it seems like, a cool way for people to team up together. Did you enjoy the team aspect of competing? And would that be something you would like to pursue at all? Or do you prefer having it all on your own shoulders and knowing that as an individual, I can dictate what happens?
I have always been an individual athlete. I will probably always be like that. But it was a really cool experience to do team. It's just a very different experience. It's not about what I can do. It's about what we can do and how we can get the most out of every single athlete on the team. So that was, it was different, but like now the level at the team competition, they're so high. So I have to train as much as I would have as an individual. So it's not like you can just retire and train like a few times a week and be on a team. It's like, it's still a full-time job. And that was because I retired. Like, I'm not willing to put 100% into getting better every day as an athlete. And then it's not fair for me to be on a team either.
Yeah. You seem like just a competitor, and, you've competed in weightlifting and you won the national championship in weightlifting, and you also were national champion. I want to ask you about this a little bit because we've had Gretchen Kittelberger on and we've talked about the IF3 for a while. You won the 2021 Norwegian IF3 championships, which is, the new entity that's trying to emerge as being a functional fitness entry into the Olympic Games. And Norway has seemed to be at the forefront of pushing this as a national sport, getting government funding, well beyond what the states are doing or many other countries. What was it like for you to compete in a competition like the IF3 championships in Norway, winning that? And what do you think of that format in terms of long-term viability?
Oh, it's kind of hard to say. I do like the setup with like 6 workouts, and you have each category in there. It's just hard to like compete with CrossFit, even though it's not specifically competing with CrossFit. But I think there's like a lot of good things with the functional fitness. And for like in Norway, the community is amazing, and we've had all the best athletes are competing in the national championship, in the world championship. But it's just when other countries aren't sending their best athletes, that's what's stopping it. And I think that's sad that Norway is the only one that is sending all their best athletes. It looks like, for at least. But we'll see next year. The Worlds will be in Norway, so it's probably going to be a big event. And if some more money can get into that sport, maybe some bigger athletes worldwide would compete too. So hopefully it will grow, and hopefully it'll be an Olympic sport eventually.
Do you think that the money is the major driver that's preventing other higher level CrossFit athletes from competing in the IF3?
I think that's a big part, for sure, because most athletes at the highest level now are professional athletes. So you need to make money from competing. And I also think about like the structure of the season. It needs to be structured so it's not really close to the biggest CrossFit competitions. So that's the hardest part. CrossFit has competitions all around the year now. So I think it's hard to compete with that when there's a lot of there's big money, prize money in some of those competitions. So I think so, yes, unfortunately, but as an athlete that you have to think about that, because that's how you're gonna be able to keep on doing what you love and train full time.
One of the big distinctions that I've noticed between IF3 and CrossFit type competition is CrossFit, prides itself on the unknowable. You go into the competition, anything can be thrown at you. New things can be thrown at you. We saw at this year's past games, which I want to ask you about what you thought about the programming, but IF3 kind of gives a structure of the potential exercises that you'll come in contact within that year. And you have the ability to know, okay, I might not know the structure of the actual workout, but I know what to anticipate in terms of the exercises. I know what the standards look like. So you can prepare leading up to it. You're not going to get a double under crossover thrown at you in the middle of the workout and you've never tried it before. Do you think that's a benefit, a strength of that in terms of giving the athletes an idea of how to train it and the judges the ability to prepare properly in terms of what the standards look like? Or do you actually like the idea of showing up to competition and it being completely unknowable?
Me personally love everything that's unknowable. I just love going out on the competition floor and getting to know what you're going to do there, because then it's the one that is the fittest that will do it the best and handles the workout there, and not just the coach that tells you do this and this and this, but you have to think for yourself. I'm like, okay, I have to figure out how to do this the best way myself, and I have to do it and see like, how can I be efficient in this movement, and how can I do this better than the others? And I think that's the cool part of it. And like the chaos workout from Games 2018, I think that was just super cool, because that was what it is. Like, you had no idea what you're going to do. Just start and stop when the judge tells you to stop. And then you go and do the next movement. And for me, that's what I like the most. But I can see that it's probably like easier for judges and stuff like that. But judges will get their like guidance and stuff anyway. So usually it works out really well anyways.
So with that being said, what did you think of the 2022 games? Boz's first games, 12, 13 new movements, a lot of gymnastics. You have a gymnastics background. Did you feel like you missed out on an opportunity to kind of show off some of your innate abilities at last year's games?
I have to be honest and say yes. I was a little sad that I wasn't competing. I've done like so much parallel bars like in my training through the years, and dips on that, and it's just fun to see something different. I think that's really cool, but because a lot of years there's been like a lot of the same workout styles, and now just everyone's been training what they think are coming because of last year's games, and now something completely different shows up, and it's not about who did the most workouts from last year or the year before. It's like who's the fittest.
Have you tried any of those workouts from this past year's games just on your own in the gym to see how you would, kind of do? I know it's not the same thing, but
I have not. I would love to, but I think I'll rather just think that I would do really well in a lot of them than actually try.
I think the same thing. That's why I don't try any of them either. I just think I'm going to do really well. So.
That's much better. You can like, yeah, I would have done really well in that one and that one and that one, and then you get out there and it's like, no, yeah.
I know that they announced, Alabama being the new location for the games after this year. Maybe not the games, but what do you think about a major CrossFit competition being held in a winter location like Norway, like where some of the events might be ski events or a biathlon outdoors or a cross-country ski event? We really haven't seen that. We maybe saw something like that in Dubai a couple of years ago, but what do you think about a winter CrossFit event like that?
We did have one in Norway a couple of years ago, Norwegian CrossFit Championship. That was up in the mountains. So the first workout there was running up the slopes and running in the snow.
Oh,
and I think
awesome.
a lot of the athletes thought that was really cool because it's just something different. But yeah, that would definitely throw a lot of the athletes out of the curve, like knowing that they have to do something that they just have never practiced. And I think that's probably a little unfair because a lot of athletes don't have snow to practice on. So it's like us coming from Norway, coming to Carson, California for the first years of games. And it's like, we just can't handle the heat because that's not something we are exposed to in Norway. And being born and raised then in California and Carson is like, you are used to that. So I think it would be cool, but not probably for the games.
Is that a big part of the reason why you relocated to San Diego and worked with Invictus to get acclimated to the heat and for your benefit?
No, that was just a bonus. Actually, it was more like first of all, it was the program, and then it was the people, and just they took me in as their family there, and I've just felt like that was my second home since 2014. And it hasn't been that warmer weather over there either. Like before the years when we were in Carson too, we were like, oh yeah, we've been really training in the heat, and then we get off to Carson, it's like, oh, this is heat. This is not the same as in San Diego.
Yeah, the Carson was always brutal, like just disgusting. Also, just being in like the parking lot too, and the vendor village and everything, it was just like so hot at all times. So I mean, I'm not complaining about being in LA. That was always fun, but my God, that heat was unbearable a lot of time. I can't imagine. Well, I think that's why we saw, Murph be such an issue for a couple of years for the athletes too.
Well, I saw somewhere you commented about how you were excited when they announced Murph, and I'm curious to know if you felt that way after doing it as well, or if you were like, no, I wish we didn't have to do this, in this heat.
Yeah, the first year we did it, not so much. Like I was super excited because that year I'd done triple Murph, like in a training camp before games.
Wait. Before you move on, how was triple Murph structured?
Please clarify.
Is it 3 Murphs in a row?
Yes, but I did not do it with a weight vest. It was without a weight vest, and I only did 1 run in between each. So I did 4 runs, and then 3 times the pull up, push up, and air squats.
Could you move your arms the next day?
I was in my mental coach. This was before my first year at CrossFit Games, and I just qualified, and I was like, I had no idea what I'm going to do because the others are so much better than me. I don't know what to do at games. So he took me to a camp, Get Kristin Tough. So we had 48 hours, and the first workout was triple Murph. And God. I did 10 workouts in 48 hours.
Oh my God. Well, did you get tough or did you end up in the hospital?
No, I actually told that to my coach after. I was like, if I don't get rhabdo doing this, I will never get rhabdo. Yeah. And he was like, oh shit, he'd never tested this before. So he had no idea. He was just trying something out. And we were like, well, it worked. So.
Wow. I'm curious to know, like, if you looked at your splits at all, if your Murph, like not the running part, but like the body weight movements of Murph 1, Murph 2, and Murph 3, did you ever look at the split times between those and see if they were relatively similar? Were you consistent, or did you like die off, or how did that go?
I think it actually was pretty consistent. I know I finished in 1 hour, 36 minutes.
Okay.
Wait, you did all 3 of them in 1 hour 36?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But that was 2 miles short of
sure. Yeah.
Like a total 3. Yeah.
So
it was fine. Like
1 hour and 40 minutes, Dave, or 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's bonkers. And this is coming from we like Murph. You know, me and Jordan both. I don't know if Jordan likes it, but Jordan and I last year did 30 Murphs in 30 days. We enjoy that workout, but that's just crazy.
I didn't enjoy it at the end because we didn't time it properly. I ended up having to do 5 or 6 of those days after shooting at the games all day and going back to the hotel and just doing it at night. Like I would get back to the hotel, I would place an order at the bar for food. I'd run upstairs, I'd do Murph, I'd come back down, get the food, go up, eat it, shower, go to bed, and wake up the next morning to shoot again. It was terrible.
Wow. Wait, but that's so much more impressive, that 3 times Murph.
We didn't.
I don't know if I could do that. I'll have to try that once.
Wait, so we got off on a tangent. I want to hear more about the actual games, Murph.
Yeah. So because I did that, I was really excited for Murph because I've done it 3 times in a row. I can do it once. But then when Dave gave his speech to us, he was like, this is a hero workout. This is so much bigger than you as an individual, and you really have to push hard. And I think everyone was just like right out of the gate, and we just ran way too fast. I almost PR'd my mile, like the first mile. And then it was just so hot. It was super hot out in the field in the middle of the day, and was just pushing really hard. I knew that Murph was a good workout for me, should have been a good workout for me. So I was up there. Sam Briggs was way ahead of us, but I know going out on the last run, I think I was in 3rd place, or second or third place. And I was like, I've heard that you can get prize money for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place in every single workout. And now starting that run, I was just so tired. But I was like, I'm not gonna go empty-handed out of this workout. I need those money. So I just saw the dollar signs like blinking ahead of me. I was like, run for your life, run for your life. And when I got into the stadium again, I think it was me and Alethea Boone. And I was like, it was probably 100 meters left, 80 yards or something. And I was like, I don't even know if I can get over there to the finish line. I was so tired. I pushed way too hard, and crossing the line, I made it, but then I was out. I pushed myself way too hard, and it was too hard, so couldn't even stand on my feet after that.
Do you think that
So
strategically that was a mistake, knowing that you had other events that same day?
yeah, for sure. Because you saw a lot of athletes were just fine. They probably knew their limits a little bit better than me. So it was definitely my fault too. It was, I mean, they could have had it at another time of the day, but I should have known. But I was a rookie, so it was all about, maybe this was, yeah, it was just, you start a workout and it's like it's all or nothing. And for me, that was just not the best way to do that workout. But I learned something, and it was a fun experience after.
How did you attack it differently the following year?
Well, everything was different that year. We started early in the morning, and it was partitioned. So it was different because the first year we had to do 100, 200, 300. And this year we did, was it 5 rounds? Yeah, 5 rounds on 20, 30, 40. Yeah. So it was just a lot of different, and I had a lot of respect for that workout because of the year before. Probably a little too much, knowing how it went the year before, but it was a much better experience though. But I don't know, it's that respect part. When you have done a workout and it crushed you, it's really hard to go in with the same mindset and try to do that again, because you know it's going to hurt really, really bad.
So obviously the mental side of things has been a big part of your training. 3 Murphs in 1 day, 10 workouts in 48 hours. Kristin has become a mental beast. But you recently came out with a book, and I think a big component of his mental training, 3, 2, 1, go. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the book, what it was like to actually write a book, and kind of what a reader can get out of it?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's only in Norwegian for now, but hopefully we'll get it in English maybe this year or next year. But I've, like, the last few years, I've been thinking about writing a book, especially about the mental part of training and how to reach your potential as an athlete, because I've seen how much effect that I've had on me as an athlete, but not just as an athlete, as a person too. How my life has gotten better after doing the mental training by choosing to focus on the things that I can control and not everything else, and do the small things that I know is required to reach my goals that I set for myself. So I wanted to share that with others, and share my mistakes, and share what's been working for me, and like small tips and tricks for how to create a better atmosphere for yourself, an environment for yourself, and how you can actually use the mental tools to reach your potential as an athlete.
Would you mind sharing maybe a couple of those tips? I don't want to give the whole book away, but do you have a couple that are kind of off the top of your head that you've found to be extremely helpful in over the years?
Yeah, the first thing I started with was thankfulness and grateful. What I was grateful for, like I've been writing down every single day for the past almost 10 years, 3 things that I'm grateful for every single day. And also my goal for the day. And after, when I finish my day, I have done evaluation. So what was good, what went well, and what could have done better? What could I have done better? And that's been like, the gratefulness has been really have given me a solid fundament to, like, I know I'm grateful for having a family. I'm grateful for my coaches. I'm grateful for having a place to stay. Like, I'm grateful that I'm happy, healthy. And knowing that makes me like, if something happens, I can always go back to that solid base and knowing that, okay, these things are good. Even though my training today sucked big time, I still am grateful for these small things that I usually take for granted every day. It's not like when you're healthy, you're like grateful, say you're grateful for that every day. It's when you get sick or injured, you're like, oh, I wish I could be healthy and injury free, because that feels so much better. So just being grateful for those small things in everyday life has given me that solid foundation. And then another tool that I've used a lot is the visualization. And as I talked about for like the open workouts and stuff, that's probably the thing that had most impact on my athletic career. Going from like being so bad at muscle ups to I've spent so many hours visualizing the perfect ring muscle up, and doing that over and over and over and over again made like the ring muscle up. I've gone from being a big weakness to a big strength of mine. So that's something that I would recommend for all athletes, to spend time visualizing the perfect movements and how you want to do all kinds of movements, and especially weaknesses.
I want to ask you about visualization a little bit more, because it was a tool that I used as well, but I know that it's not effective for a lot of people. And in fact, in my early career, I found it to be detrimental, more hurtful than it was helpful, because I would always visualize myself doing the movement poorly. And it was like a bad rep or a bad habit, and like doing a chicken wing action on a bar muscle up and doing it over and over again a particular way and saying, I just can't get out of my head. Like I'm constantly working on these visualization techniques, but I'm seeing myself doing it wrong, and it's making me more frustrated. I figured out how to fix that after, years and years of different tweaks, and I figured out ways and methods for it to work for me, and it turned into a big strength for my training as well, especially as I got older. But have you ever had to combat that, or was visualization just a tool that you were able to use right away? I'm curious if there are ways to kind of make sure that it's being used to its optimal for the athlete that's out there that's maybe struggling with it.
Yeah, I've struggled a lot, and it's been really hard because you have to be like 100% focused to get it right. So what I usually have done is like I start by putting like some headset or a cap or something on my head, just to remind my head that I'm training. This is a workout. I'm not just sitting in the chair or laying on the couch resting. I'm actually training. And then I start with like about 5 minutes of breathing, focusing on my breathing. And then for the visualization, I always start far away. So I've visualized myself at games several times, so I can see, but I start with seeing a person down on the arena. I'm sitting all the way up in the stand, so I can't see the face. I just see a person. And then I see that person do perfect repetitions. And I think that's so much easier than actually seeing myself doing it. So I can imagine whoever it is. I just see they perform the movement as I want it to look like. And then if that looks good, I go a little closer. I still can't see the face of that person. It's kind of blurry, but I can still see the perfect movement. And if that's good, I go into the arena. I take the stand of a judge. So I'm looking at the athlete as a judge would do. And this is where it gets hard, because now I can see the face. And sometimes I just struggled really hard if I see my own face. So sometimes it's my body, but I put someone else's face on, just to make it easier for me to see those perfect reps. And then if I'm there and like see I'm not happy with the movement, then I'll take a step back up to the stance again and try to like go back and see the movement. Okay, we go back again as a judge. Maybe it's the side you're standing on. maybe you have to turn on the other side of the athlete, maybe in the back, try to like see where is the optimal stance for you. And then when that is good, you can go in and the athlete is you. And then I'm standing there looking at the rings. Now it's my turn to do it. And this is where it gets really hard because now you have those thoughts and emotions that gets into your head too. And that could be really tough. But when you can deal with that and figure out how it's going to feel like, what are you going to think, and then you can do the movement, that's where the magic happens.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you've made it really like tangible. And to be honest, there's a lot of things in there that I figured out too. I would do something very similar. I would always visualize myself from the judge's perspective or from the audience perspective. And then I would kind of like slow things down, use almost like I have a remote in my head where if I see myself making a mistake, I'll back up and continue to do it in a slow way until I see myself doing it well. And I think what you're getting at is that visualization techniques need to be learned and need to be worked on. It's not something that you just figure out the first time you try it. It's something that you have to figure out how it can actually benefit and impact you correctly as an athlete, just like you're learning a new skill. And I love those tools. I think those are really, really tangible things that an athlete, a listener out there, that can actually apply today. They go into the gym. Let me see if there's this movement that I'm having a struggle with and see if I can put somebody else's face on it for a couple of reps and see if I can start to understand the movement technique. I love that.
Can I ask a quick question? You said that you put on like a cap or something. You're like, this is a training session. That whole process that you just walked us through, roughly how long would that sort of a visualization technique session typically last?
It kind of depends, but usually not more than maybe like 20 minutes because I have to be 100% focused, and it's hard to be focused for more than 20 minutes for me. But it depends. Like if everything goes smooth, I'll just go straight into and look at the rings, and I'll just do a few reps there, and I'm happy with that. Other times I have to go back and forth so many times to be able to get it right. And sometimes I just have to stop because it's just not working. I had to do that with snatches several times because I just failed to snatch. I missed so many times. So I was like, okay, this is not working today. We have to try something else tomorrow. And then I figured out eventually, like, okay, there's which side I'm standing on it's really important for the snatch, because I usually always video myself from one side, and that was the side I had to stand on to look like the perfect rep. So there's just some like small tweaks that you can try out and see what works for you, because there's no one thing, like one way works for everyone. You have to like they said, there's same as technique work. You have to figure out what's the best way for you to do this.
I love it. I love it. And especially because I think heard a lot of people talk about visualization being, not useful for certain people and just not being effective. But I think it like you said, it depends on how it's being used, and it needs to be trained. It needs to be actually worked on. So you're not going to figure out. And it can be frustrating because I think if you try it right away and it doesn't work for you, you're like, this is making it worse, and you just don't want to work on it. But it can be a very impactful tool if you put the time in. Thank you for that. That's super helpful. I wanted to ask about the writing process. We don't have Chad on here today, and I know he would ask this question because he's full on been writing his book for a while now, and it is a struggle. It's not the easiest thing in the world to write a book, especially if you're not a writer. I'm curious about the process for you. Was this something that you knew you wanted to do and it kind of just came out of you pretty easily? Or was it a struggle in terms of figuring out how to make sure that my thoughts, my techniques, what I want to kind of convey to the world comes out in a really, legible way?
Yeah, it is actually really hard to like figure out the best way to tell your story, and what stories and what tools will help others the most. But luckily I had someone helping me write the book, so I could tell my story and tell her like I want to say this and this, and I want it to look like this and this. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna write it. And then she sends it to me, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. This we can do a little bit better. And then it's been a long process. It's been a lot of work, a lot more than I thought it would be. But like I worked for this for with the mental training now for so many years. So it feels like I'm pretty sure of what I wanna share with others, and what the stories that I've been through. I know the stories that I wanted to share with others and tell in my book. And because I wanted to share the tools in relation to stories that I've been through and things that I've been through in my career, so they can see, okay, she was in that situation, and then she used that tool to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I wanted to write it, so that others can like, oh, she's been through that, yeah, and if she can do it, I can do it. So it can inspire some people to set goals for themselves, work really hard to achieve them. And even though it's going to be setbacks and really tough times, you can overcome it. And if you don't give up, your dreams can come true.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And we will, congratulations on getting it out and for completing that enormous project. We're hopeful that it'll be in English sometime soon so that we can pass it along to our listeners and read it, a copy ourselves. But congratulations on getting that all completed.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're coming close to the end, and, you know, are you coming to the States anytime soon? Are you coming to Wodapalooza? Are you planning on being in the States anytime soon?
Not at Wodapalooza this year. All our athletes have done so many competitions this fall, so they need a little bit of off season before they start back again. But maybe later this year, we'll see.
Okay, well, I'm just curious because, you know, you always have an invitation to come back to Power Monkey Camp. We loved having you with us, and I hope it was a good experience for you to come and hang out with us in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, a couple of years ago. And we'd love to have you back out at some point if you can make it happen.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I would encourage everyone to go there and have a week full of fun, training, good training, and a lot of fun times. So I would love to come back one day.
Excellent. We'd love to have you. A couple of quick last minute questions for you if you're up for it. First one should be easy, I'm hoping. Well, I don't know at this point, and there's no Chad, but what sport or discipline do you prefer, weightlifting or gymnastics?
Gymnastics.
Yes.
I feel like she's just saying that because you're on the podcast.
Oh no.
National weightlifting champ. Come on.
Yeah, but she was a gymnast growing up. That's where your heart is. We got started out in sport. Thank you. Me and Chad and the weightlifters have a running total here, and they've been catching up to me lately. So I needed another point on the gymnastics side. So thank you. Next question. Any guests that you think would be good for us to interview? Anyone you've come across recently? Someone that you think would be a good interview for us?
Yeah, you had CJ on the podcast already. I will say one of my Norwegian athletes, they're upcoming and they're going to be superstars. So any one of them, they're all going to be really good. Matilda Garnes, Seher Kaya from Turkey, Andreas Solberg, and of course the Norwegian CrossFit Oslo team that are going for first place this year in the team competition. Now the Mayhem are gone. Hopefully.
Yeah, there's always someone filling in the Mayhem spots. Even if Rich isn't competing, someone incredibly powerful will be filling up the spot. But yeah, it would be great to see Oslo out there, and got to get some of those names and put them on the list for Jordan to get interview for us. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out and ask more about that. Our final question is a book recommendation, and you can't give your own book since we've already talked about that at length. So are you an avid reader? And if you are, do you have any recommendations for any of our listeners?
I have two books that I've read so many times about mental training. It's The Champion's Mind, and also The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
I just heard that they're making that into a movie.
Ooh.
Yeah, like
I would love to see that.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know how it's going to be made into a movie, but I've heard recently, like within the last week or two, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for those suggestions. We'll add them to the list. What do you got coming up, man? We mentioned your book. Anywhere else where people can find you and follow along? What do you have coming up next?
Yeah, still working on hard on my Craigie training, the community. We try to build a brand, trying to help as many athletes as possible. Me and the coach that I worked with for the last couple of years here in Norway, we are that's basically the program that I did the last year that I competed. So we just want to try to help other athletes reach their potential, as I almost did in my final year, I feel like. So working with that mostly full time, and then going to CrossFit competitions and being a part of the CrossFit staff. Not CrossFit staff, but coaching staff.
And where can they find Krieger Training and follow along on Instagram? What are the handles there?
KriegerTraining.com, our website, and then Krieger Training on Instagram. And then
Awesome.
You can follow me, Holte Kristin, on Instagram too.
I will put all of that in the show notes.
Awesome. Well, Kristin, thank you so much. I know it's later in the day over there in Norway for you. We appreciate it. Hopefully you can get through the snow, and we really hope we get the chance to see you sometime soon in the new year. For all our listeners out there, please be sure to head over to powermonkeyfitness.com for services and upcoming events. Check out our Instagram pages for regular teaching and technical content at Power Monkey Fitness, at Dave Durante, and at, I always screw this up, Jordan, your handle is?
Jordan Samuel Photo.
Thank you so much. On behalf of Power Monkey Fitness, I'm your host, Dave Durante, with my co-host, Jordan Samuel. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much for listening.